What's up? How's everybody doing? What's up? What's up? Sorry I'm late, running a little bit behind, but we in the house. We are in the house. All right, we're in the house. Listen, today we're going to be talking about toxic relationships. Toxic relationships. Um, I'll be talking about myself a little. I'll be talking about some experiences, some things that I saw growing up, maybe. Hopefully, be getting a little bit of input from y'all about what y'all think. Um, I'm gonna give it a few minutes, and then I'm going to get in. Uh, but for the time being, let me advertise another good one that I got coming up. Is how deep is your love? How deep is your love? That's going to be Monday. That's going to be Monday at 9 p.m. where we're going to be answering a question. And I'll tell y'all more about that towards the end. But today is about toxic love. All right. All right. So I want to say welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. All right. So, toxic love. What is toxic love? What is toxic love? All right. Let me see if I can get a description. What is toxic love? So, just to start, I'm going to give y'all a description of what is toxic love. Toxic love is a harmful, draining relationship dynamic driven by unresolved trauma, insecurity, and manipulation, rather than mutual respect. It often involves a cycle of high intensity emotional highs and lows, control, and emotional abuse, frequently leading to feelings of low self esteem, isolation, and anxiety in one or both partners. Boy, that is a description for you. All right, let me see something before I get in good. Okay. All right. So, to start, there was I I this is the first time I seen a situation where there was toxic love. I'm telling you, I never seen nothing like this before in my life. Right? Okay. I knew somebody, right? That I knew the guy, right? I knew the guy, and the guy had a girlfriend. And him and the girlfriend, they loved each other. They loved each other. I saw it. They loved each other, but they just couldn't get along. They just couldn't get along, but they just kept finding their way back to each other. Right? So the guy, ended up hooking up with another girl, and uh, I thought I thought that the guy was broken up with the female because I hadn't seen or heard nothing from her in a while, and I didn't see them hanging or whatever. Well, the guy he hooked up with another female, and the girl pops up on the scene. The one that he was in love with, she pops up on the scene. So I'm like, oh, you know, y'all know how it is when y'all feel like something about to go down. You're like, oh, it's about to go down. She pops up on the scene, and this girl was gangster, right? And I say she was gangster because she had like a tomboyish like character. Like she wore the Timberland boots, and but she was cute. She was cute, right? Man, she pop up on the scene while old boy sitting up in there with another girl. She come up in there, and she ready to go. She ready to go. So he grab her, pull her out to the side, start talking to her, whatever like that. Now I'm gonna tell you something. This is the craziest thing that I've ever seen in my life. They come back in. Now the other girl, she was kind of scared because she thought, it was gonna really be something. And then she didn't know about this. She didn't know about this girl. So she was innocent in this situation. So she pop up. I mean, they come back in, and the girl, I'm like, look, man, I hope they ain't about to carry on, right? So the girl came back in. She was like, look, I don't know what's going on between you and my man. And the girl's like, nah, ain't nothing. I just met him today or whatever like that, which was true. I just met him today. Like I didn't know he had no girl or nothing like that. This girl tells the new girl that they both can have him. So she just went from ready to kick some behind, went outside, had a talk with him, calmed down, come back in. I'm thinking she gonna confront the girl again. She tells the girl, we both can have him. I was kind of young. I was kind of young into, relationships. I believe at that point, I only had two really solid relationships. I had, you know, girls in between, but like solid relationships at that point. Um, I only had two relationships, and the second relationship that I had, she was there, and she witnessed this, and she was just as shocked as I was. That girl came up in that joint. She was ready to set it off. In one conversation, she ended up coming back in there saying what she said. It blew my mind. I never ever seen nothing like that before. Ever. Ever. Even, that's the first time I ever seen something that was that ridiculous. Now, eventually, them two went back and forwards, and eventually, she wound up throwing in the towel and walking away from him. I guess she got tired of him keep messing around, and she finally walked away. And that was the last of it. But they used to argue, fuss, and fight, but they couldn't stay away from each other. They couldn't stay away from each other. She caught him red-handed, and it still didn't stop her from wanting to be in his life. And that was really confusing to me, especially at that young age. I think I was about 25. So that was that. So that probably was my first time seeing something like out of the ordinary as far as relationships, and something that I can say, yeah, that was a toxic relationship. That was a toxic relationship. Uh, Another toxic relationship. I'm gonna throw myself under the bus in a minute, but another one that I saw. Now this was serious. See, sometimes the sometimes people stay in relationships, I feel, because I think it be sexual sometimes. It be because they don't want to let go sexually. And a lot of relationships are built upon that. In my opinion, and from my experience, the best relationships was built off of getting to know each other, and dating, and going out, like doing things before you decide to get in the bed with each other. Like, in my opinion. Now, and that's not to say that people can't start out, meet somebody, get together, go home, get it on, and decide, hey, you my cup of tea, and grow on to have kids and successful relationships. I'm not saying that it can happen, but in my experiences, I've had relationships where I've met people, and we got together, we did what we did, and then I had relationships where we talked on the phone, we got to know each other. Well, nowadays ain't no talking, people texting, or well, they do got FaceTime, but we had that time, falling asleep on the phone, all that good stuff like that. And all of these things, like, really get to know each other. By the time y'all come together, like, y'all know each other, and y'all already done formed a bond. And it's easier when y'all ready to go on and go to the next step. It's a lot easier because y'all develop a friendship into a relationship, you know. So that's my experience. Now, I ain't judging nobody that decide to go out there and do it the other way. I'm just saying, for me, it worked out better that way. Even in a relationship that I had that failed, it still lasted longer because it wasn't just a situation where we met each other, we went and we hooked up, we did what we did, and then we started going out a little bit. That's different than that relationship that I had where we met each other over the phone. Like I actually was introduced to somebody over the phone. And we communicated back and forwards, talking to each other, getting to know each other, whatever like that. Now, in that situation, yeah, we did that for a couple of weeks, but when we got together, we went straight in. So I had a couple of weeks to get to know a person, but uh, me personally, like I've had a relationship where I actually, you know, I knew her, like Jolie, for example. I knew Jolie for years, but it was nothing like that. Like I know her, you know, like family. Like her mom, her dad, they was like, family to me. Like I said, I met her father first, and then I wound up finding out that her mother was the person that was what's that? Oh, her mother was the person that was babysitting my nephew, and I went to pick up my nephew, and I met her mom, and it was like that. It was nothing like us love at first sight or nothing like that. It was years down the line. She had a, um, a man. I had a girl, and her relationship went the way it went. My relationship went the way it went. Then it was years later. I end up getting into a quick relationship, and I had my son. That relationship didn't last long. Um, then I was kind of free for a little while, and one day we all sitting around. I think we was watching wrestling or a basketball game or something. And her mom said, "Why are y'all two single people sitting around here, sitting around the house? Won't y'all go out on a date?" So oh, I did ask her. I had asked her previously about going out, and you know, she wasn't interested at the time, which I'm glad she wasn't because I wasn't quite ready. I wasn't quite ready yet. It was some things I needed to learn first before I get to that point. So, uh, but um, when we did go out, we already had a friendship. We had built a friendship over the years. So when we went out, we talked, we communicated. We got to know each other better. It was no straight into nothing. Like it probably was like a year before we even did anything like that. We just was spending time and hanging out, and you know making memories even before. And then eventually, we decided to get together like that. And well, we already had got into the relationship. We was into the relationship, and then eventually we decided that we was going to take it to the next level. But it wasn't rushed, and I didn't feel the need to rush her. Like I really liked her. I really liked her, and I was not going to push her away by trying to rush to get in her panties. You know, I felt like she was very special. I seen her past relationship, and I seen that like she's a strong, loyal woman, and that's what I was lacking. Loyalty. Like it's nothing like loyalty. And I saw that in her, and it was worth waiting. It was worth waiting. But anyway, but before then, I had toxic relationships. Now, um, I wouldn't say that the relationship I had, I really didn't have a relationship with this girl. Like we were, getting together, from time to time, and you got to be careful who you give yourself to and how you give yourself to people, because and I told my daughter this one time. It's like when you're doing that, even if y'all just getting together for that reason, y'all ain't like in no relationship or whatever, feelings, feelings will develop one way or the other. Feelings will develop. And we were getting together every once in a while, and it was just for that. Now, here's the problem. She was she already had 3 kids, and her tubes was tied. So, and at that point, I didn't have no kids. So I didn't see myself having a future with her like that. It's just, we would get together and we would, do whatever. Well, eventually, I had met that one that I was telling you about when we started talking over the phone. And when we became serious, I cut off the relationship. Well, I cut off what we had. And she was crushed. She was crushed. And I felt like a pure D heel. I felt so bad. I felt so bad. I didn't mean to hurt her like that. Like, that's why I said you gotta be careful. You talking about you just having fun, like y'all just kicking it. Man, this girl, she had deep feelings for me. And when I ended it, man, she cried so bad, man. I felt really bad. But, and like I explained, and we had these conversations before. We had this because she was a nice girl and everything, but she's not. I told her, like, you wouldn't be able to give me what I want. Eventually, I'm going to want kids, and you're not going to be able to do that. And besides, you already have kids, and, like, you wouldn't be able to do that for me. And so we had discussions. It wasn't like I led her on or nothing like that. But, yeah, it was tough. That was tough. And I really felt bad behind that. I did. Cause see, I I've always been the type person, like, I don't want to hurt nobody. Like, I want to help people. I don't want to hurt nobody. And when that happened, it's like, but eventually, I moved on, and I went into, the relationship or whatever. And shortly after, we had my first daughter. And um and uh the relationship went on for probably about, let me see, we wound up having my second daughter like 3 years, almost 3 years later. And the relationship lasted probably a year after that, maybe a year and a half. My second daughter was like a year and a half. I don't even think she was 2 yet. And the relationship was done. The relationship was done. So, but that relationship, it ended kind of toxic. It ended real toxic, but I ain't gonna talk about that one too much. Like, that was tough. That was real tough. But, it was a good relationship. It was a real good relationship, but like I said, it's some things that, you know, when you're in a relationship, you know, when the relationship ends, you got to take a look at yourself too. Now, I didn't do that right away. I pointed the finger. But after some time, I had to go back and look at myself because like my priorities and stuff was all over the place. I didn't have my priorities in line at all. And it was times where I should have done things differently. You know, I made a lot of decisions without having that conversation with her. So I had to check myself. I had to check myself also. It wasn't only just pointing a finger at her, or she did me wrong, this and that. I had to check myself. And when I got to that point, it helped me to grow as a man because going into the next relationship, I knew that I had to do some things differently on my part. I had to learn from my mistakes and I had to do things differently. So, it was helpful. It was hurtful, but it was helpful. And like I said, like maybe 3 years later, I ended up, I was in that relationship and I wound up having my son. And, that relationship was, I guess you can say it's toxic when a person lie all the time. Ain't that what they say, part of toxic? No. I don't know if they said if that's part of toxic. What they say? No, they said draining, harmful, yeah. Uh, un- unresolved trauma, insecurity, manipulation, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Emotional abuse, self-esteem, anxiety, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess I could say that relationship was toxic. It was short-lived. It was short-lived, but it was toxic. And but I think the most toxic thing about it to me, because I was guarded. I was guarded. I didn't give my all in that relationship. I didn't go all in because of what I had been through. So I was guarded. But the worst thing in that whole situation to me was how things went with the relationship with me and my son. Now I thought that was toxic. I thought that was dirty, you know, and I thought that was the worst thing out of the whole experience in that relationship, you know, missing out on uh, the relationship that I wanted to have with my son. But it was kind of toxic. But anyway, I'm talking about this subject because I always try to pinpoint uh, some of the things that I post. I try to have a conversation about it. And the post this week was grandma telling us, talking to us about uh, toxic relationships. How in a lot of cases a man say that a woman is so toxic, but sometimes it's his actions that causes that woman to become toxic. Vice versa. Same with a woman with a man. Now she said a man with a woman, but a woman could have a good man and treat him like pure D crap and ruin that man. She could ruin that man, and that man will never be the same moving forward with another woman because of the experience that he had with her. Now that's facts. Now it goes both ways. Now I'm gonna say it goes both ways. It can be toxic. I seen toxic women, and I seen toxic men. You know, the post I just put up, where the woman was saying she wanted to get rid of her good man that's paying all the bills, taking care of the kids, making sure she's set. But she say he ain't got enough ambition. Now he got money. She admit that he got money, even though he's working, but he getting paid less money than what she is. She ready to let him go. He ain't good enough. And I love the fact that some females got on there and checked her for that silliness. Is you crazy? It is you crazy? Is you crazy? Some of these women have some good men. Good men. They work, they take care of the household, they come home, they bring the money home, they ain't ripping and running up and with the other women and stuff like that. And women, they just be foul. They just be foul. Yes, I ain't just picking on women. It'd be both sides. I seen it on both ends. But I know Grandma spoke on behalf of the woman turning toxic. But I've seen a woman turn a man from being a positive, homebody, family oriented, loving, to a player, to a person that's saying, F it, they don't care about nothing. They just gonna do them. They don't care about no feelings, none of that. A good man, ruined. A good woman, ruined. You know? So I wanted to speak on that as far as that toxin. I wish Jolie could have added her piece into it, but she in there on the machine doing her treatment. But she is going to be involved in our next discussion. That's a good one. That's going to be a real good one because that's going to be getting answers to how strong is your relationship? How deep is your love? I can't wait to get into that. I didn't want to do nothing on Sunday, or I would have had it tomorrow. I'm gonna try to devote tomorrow and get some stuff in on giving God thanks and praise and focus on that. But on Monday at 3:30 was that March 30th, 2026 at 9 p.m. we will be having a discussion about how deep is your love. And we will have a question that I want to get y'all insight on. And Jolie will be participating. She may not be in front of the camera, but she will be participating and giving her point of view of it. We had one opportunity to get her in and give her input on some stuff, and she's going to get in a little bit more, to give y'all with how she feel like from a woman's perspective. I don't want it to be all about me and my views or nothing like that. I try to be down the middle myself because I realize that there's good and bad in all of us. I realize that men do silly stuff. I realize that women do silly stuff. I realize that I believe in love. I believe in family. Somebody responded to a post I put up. Let me address that. I just recently put up a post that was talking about the chemical balance of a man's brain after a man and a woman has, had connections. I'm gonna say. I know a lot of women wonder why the man just roll all over and he just be kind of in his own zone. Like that's what the post was about. Well, someone said that the man is feeling guilty because the body's supposed to be God's temple. Listen, The post was just giving you education about a man's brain, right? What happened? It wasn't about no, let's get your groove on. It was educational. And in this educational post, it could have been about married people. The same thing happens to married people. The man, after he get to that moment, the man rolls over and he need time. A married man, a married man. I'm not promoting people to go out here and be willy-nilly just being with people. It's not what it's about. This channel is about couples and about love and about scenarios, different scenarios, and what would you think and how would you react? That's what this channel is about. You know, I'm not convert promoting anybody to go out here and be no hoe or nothing like that. So please, please, please don't think that I'm, you know, advocating for people to go and be silly and do nonsense. Maybe I should say a disclaimer before I start my videos, because I don't want nobody to think nothing like that. I'm not like that. I'm not out here running, and it's not nothing against anybody that is. I'm not responsible for you and what you do with your body. I don't have no control over that. I don't want to have no control over that. We all responsible for our own. But let me say this, because I am a Christian. He that is without sin, let them cast the first stone. Now, so many people sit and try to point fingers at other people's sins. What are you doing? What are you thinking about? You know, sin is in the thoughts too. So, it was an old song that used to be called "Sweep Around Your Own Front Door Before You Try to Sweep Around Mine." How about that? I'm positive over here. We're positive. You know, we're not advocating for nobody to go and do no crazy stuff and hurt themselves or anything like that. We are positive. We positive. We believe in love. We believe in communication. We believe in consideration, and we believe in, was it communication, consideration, and I don't know why I keep on forgetting my third C. Communication, consideration, and compromise. That's what we believe in. That's what Jolie and I believe in as a couple. In order for us to continue, we have to work with each other in these areas. Like, you know, and it ain't easy. It ain't easy. I get on her nerves and she get on my nerves. But unless we communicate, consider each other's feelings, compromise, then it's not going to work. And that's what I try to encourage. You know, there's plenty of couples, young couples, fresh couples. We've been together for almost 20 years, you know, and we done learned some things. We done been through some things. So what we are trying to do is we're trying to help other people with our experiences. We put out, like I said, scenarios about different things, different life experiences, like what would you do? How would you feel if this happened or whatever like that? Positive, positive. I'm not promoting evil deeds or anything like that over here. Seriously, we're not promoting no evil deeds. We just opening up the dialogue, having conversations about relationships, about love, marriage. We talk about marriage, everything. So maybe they need to go down to some of the videos, because I have videos on here about marriage. So But that's all I'm gonna say about that. But anyway, listen. The point is, listen, toxic relationships are very, very unhealthy. It's very unhealthy. It's very draining. What they say? Let me see. Uh, it drains you emotionally. Uh, it is a mental abuse. Uh, it leads to low self-esteem issues. Uh, it leads to anxiety and isolation, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy. It involves manipulation and control, uh, exploiting vulnerabilities, uh, constant negative dynamic, trauma bonding, lack of growth, blame shifting. Uh, you know, it's just really unhealthy. It's really unhealthy. It's not good for your mental. It's not good for your mental. You know, when it's all said and done, I just want to say this: we are all worthy. We're worthy of love. We're worthy of respect. Um, the same way that we give out love and respect, we should be receiving it back. We should be receiving it back. You know, same way we giving our heart, we should be receiving it back. Ain't nobody should have to be in no situation where they're being abused, even if it's not physical abuse, mental abuse. That's not a good situation to be in. You know, it causes breakdowns and mental illness eventually. I don't care who you are, what you look like, you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be truly happy. And if a person is not giving, instilling in you the same energy, the same love and care that you're giving to them, then you need to reevaluate it. You need to reevaluate that situation, and you need to know your worth. Know your worth. Because listen, there's plenty of people out here that would appreciate. It's old, not an old saying. Somebody's trash is somebody else's treasure. They may consider you as trash, and they want to treat you like that. You don't have to put yourself, allow yourself to be treated like trash. Because when you remove yourself from that, you open yourself up to somebody that's going to accept you as their treasure. They're going to love you and treat you like a trophy, keep you shine and care for you. You don't have to be nobody's person to be pushing around or to push over or whatever like that. You know, you better than that. So I just encourage, you know, people. I know how love is. I know it's hard to get away from because the heart want what it wants, but when it's all said and done, you want to be happy. You want to be truly happy. You don't want to be crying and hurting all the time. So you got to make decisions that's going to get you to that. Not have you alone home crying, sad. This men and women, men and women. You'd be surprised how many men is sitting home crying while the woman is running around doing everything under the sun. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. But because they love so deeply, they allow themselves to be in these situations to, you know, but it comes a time where you got to take your life back. And you got to know that you better than that. You worthy. You worth more than that, right? And somebody gonna love you for who you are. Like I said, no matter what you look like, what size you is. I know there's a lot of people dealing with insecurities, and I was one of them, right? But I love me enough that I'm not gonna just sit back and let somebody play me for boo boo the fool. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That's why, like I said, that relationship that I had with my son, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So, but I just wanted to talk about that post. I'm gonna start calling her grandma. Grandma gave us some good. She always give us some good information, some things that we need to know, to help us to learn and to, uh, you know, to care for each other better. I like the messages that she has because it's very inspirational. And see, that's what we're supposed to do. Us having knowledge about these things, we're supposed to put it out here because it can be very helpful for the next person. So that's why we have this channel. That's why we motivators, but we relationship motivators because we've been through the ups and downs in this relationship, and we just trying to help other people to get ahead and just try to show people things to come together and maybe even get your laugh on from time to time. That's what we're about over here. That's what we're about. And we really, really appreciate y'all coming and supporting. Like I said, whenever Jolie is comfortable to come and be in front of the camera, she gonna be out. It's gonna be a grand debut or whatever. But until then, if we can get her to come in and give some voicing on some of these topics, hey, you hearing it from both sides. Like it's not just all about me. I have my own experiences. She have her experiences. She done learned some things in life. I done learned some things in life, and we both have learned some things together. So we here to try to kind of help each other through it. So, but that's all I got for now, y'all. I'm getting on off here. She about ready to come off that machine. Yeah, I'm hearing her winding down. So, like I said, I apologize. I got a little bit of a late start. I did another video earlier, but let me tell you. Let me give you a little quick description of what's coming on Monday. Y'all make sure y'all lock in on this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. The topic: how deep is your love? How deep is your love? You see, I hit y'all with that key sweat. How deep? No. How I go? How deep is your love? Something like that. Anyway, how deep is your love? And inside, what? Why my camera just did that? Oh, you know what my camera trying to say? Look, it clicked off and clicked back on. What it's trying to say? My singing was that bad and made the camera glitch. You know what? Y'all need to stop it. Here's the question: what would you do if your fiance got into some trouble before y'all got married, and was ordered to pay a bunch of money back? He had to pay, like let's say, restitution. He had to pay a bunch of money back. The question is, would you still marry him or her? Would you still marry him or her? Now you got a couple of factors. You got the fact that the person done got in trouble, and then you got the fact of them having to pay, um, you know, restitution or whatever it is. They got to pay money back or whatever like that. And what would you do? So we're gonna be talking about that on Monday. And like I said, Hopefully, I can get Jolie to be in here. She can give her input on the situation too. Um, I'm gonna try to. I got the time set for 9, so we're gonna try to have her finish with her dialysis treatment so she can be available when it all go down. But it's going down. It's gonna be Monday, uh, March the 30th, 2026 at 9 p.m. How deep is your love? How deep is your love? So I see y'all on that one. But as I always say, love, peace, and blessings to all of y'all. We really appreciate y'all. It's all about love over here. Um, we'll see y'all on the next one. All right. Peace out.